Okay, let's go. Get up. It's Monday morning. Huh? Is it? Well, it's Monday after 12. You know what we're doing here. 56 degrees. It feels like it's about 40 degrees, but it's nice. The sun is out. And we won a game. And I'm not talking about the Dolphins. Although they won a game too. My glasses are always dirty. So we finally won a game, and we'll talk about what the scores were last night. We'll take a look at the standings. It's definitely a little tighter than maybe we would expect. Hey, Hungry, how you doing? You just got recommended an almost 3-year-old short about the possibility of a Cats rebuild. Yeah, we sure have come a long way. Ain't that the truth? Jameson, good morning. Scientist says, Bornfoot assigned to the Checkers. I guess that means Sabrango finally got his visa. That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds right. So that's now, hope now the question is going to be, are we going to see him, right? Greg, hey, 43 there. Nice. So what did we get last night? Let's share these scores. Start off this way. Yesterday was a few games, more than a few. Devils continue, beat the Avalanche 4-3. Tampa Bay, and we'll talk about this, their demise has been interrupted. They beat the Knights 2-1 in overtime. So Vegas came into Florida and scored 1 goal in 2+ games. The Sharks won again, 6-5 in overtime. So they can't win in regulation. But that's 2 games in a row now they've won where they gave up 5 goals. The Mammoth continue to be surprising. They beat the Jets 3-2. Stars beat the Preds 3-2. The Kings beat the Blackhawks 3-1. The Calgary Flames. Yeah. 5-1. 5-1. Calgary beat the Rangers. And, of course, the Canucks beat the Oilers in overtime 4-3. Now, where that puts us with the standings is you could say the Lightning are tied for last place, but you could also say the Lightning are 1 game out of 3rd place. And you would be correct with both statements. So this is all going to be, this is as tight as you can basically get. Canadians, Wings, and then Panthers, Sabres, Senators, Leafs, Lightning, and Bruins are all within 1 game of each other. So nothing has quite been decided yet. That's for sure in the Atlantic. Over in the Metro, the Penguins did lose, but they're still in decent spot. Devils, Penguins, Hurricanes, Capitals. And then there's a little bit more of a distinction here. Islanders, Flyers, Jackets, and the Rangers in last place. And you got the Bruins and Rangers in last place 2 weeks into the season. That's not going to go over too well. Over in the West, the Mammoth have won 7 straight. The Avalanche have lost 4 straight. And the Mammoth are now 2 points ahead of them. Mammoth are 8-2. That's insane. 13 goal differential in 10 games. So Mammoth, Avalanche, Jets, Stars, Blackhawks are still hanging around. The Preds are still hanging around. The Wild and Blues bring up the rear. And in the Pacific, Vegas has finally lost a couple of games. The Kraken are knocking right at the door there. Kings, Canucks, Oilers lost another couple games. They are really playing 500. And then we got the Ducks, Sharks, and Flames. Sharks have won 2. Well, they say the Sharks have won 1 game. So they must have lost a game in between. I guess they must have lost the game. I said they won 2 in a row, but that was a misstatement. So, yeah, Calgary's finally waking up. So Hungry says, no Gadjevich, Marchand, or Ekblad skating today. Interesting. I wonder how much of that is just me. I would assume with Marchand, especially, and maybe even Ekblad, that it's maintenance, right? And you never know with Gadjevich. I say this without saying it as a complaint, but Gadjo does tend to get hurt a lot and miss a few games. But that's okay. He does his job when we need him. Yeah, Calgary's kind of waking up a little bit there, Craig. Jameson, Kiefer Sherwood had his best game as an NHL player last night. So what? Tell me about that one, Jameson. Yeah, everybody's Strafossi. Everybody in the Atlantic keeps winning. So, yeah, no, I don't know if they're hurt or not. I would just assume with Marchand especially that's going to be a maintenance day off. They don't need to practice. Marchand doesn't even need to practice. Just let him play the games. A Gold Slayer says either this year is weird or being fixed. We all know which teams are good from the last 2 or 3 years from our cup runs. These teams at the top that are out of pocket are messing up your bets. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I don't think I did so good in football this week. Colin Bornfoot's been recalled to the AHL. Yep, Zabrango's visa issue should be good. Steven. Yeah, the other night we beat Vegas and every other Atlantic team got a point. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is right now. The intra-divisional games are going to decide who's in third place, honestly. I mean, we're in third place with 10 points. The Bruins are in last place with 8. I mean, so what does that mean? It means if everybody lost and the Bruins won a game, they'd be in third place. So there's literally no difference between and the goal differentials aren't any different either. The Panthers are -3. Sabres are even. The Senators are -4. The Leafs are -2. The Lightning are -4. And the Bruins are -3. The only one with a positive right now is the Canadiens, and the Wings are positive on 1. We talked about that a couple days ago. Hungry says if it's being fixed, they're really picking a bad time to do that. The sports gambling stuff is about to blow up. It's very I know YouTube doesn't want the sports gambling stuff to blow up because what would you say on the sports videos? Half of the ads are DraftKings and FanDuel and all of that. Jameson says Sherwood is a hitting machine. He set the NHL record last year. He had 3 amazing goals, 1 called back from all sides. Guys on the last year of his contract. Interesting. I have to keep an eye on him. Scientist says, which third pairing would I rather see, Sabrango Petrie or Belinskas Sabrango? Horvolka Benning. The third pair we're not going to get that. And I'm not saying we go to the playoffs with Horvolka Benning, but I would just like to see it. Just for the size disparity. Horvolka's 6'6", Benning's 5'9". But nobody's going to mess with Benning if Horvolka's on the ice. But to answer your question, I would rather see Petrie and Sabrango. I don't think you want to have Belinskas out there with the rookie, as much as Petrie's not, he's not exactly Cale Makar. He is a veteran, obviously more. Jameson says Sherwood, I can't read today. Sherwood would be a perfect Panther. He hits everything that moves, responsible defensively, and has some great skill. Perfect bottom 6 winger. Huh. And would I play Gregor instead of Cunnin? No, I want to keep playing Schwint. I want to keep investing in Cole Schwint and see what he can do. Gregor will get his chance, I think, if Gadjevich gets hurt. Vincent, the NHL is fun this year. All the teams trying to emulate the Panthers in a backwards way have to deal with young teams that skate circles around them. Well, yeah, you figured eventually that was going to happen, right? Eventually, guys were going to, teams are going to start trying to do exactly that. So we got work cut out for us, but Maurice seems to have righted the ship. Oh, Sfossy, that's what you meant? Right. Okay, yeah. Would I play Gregor instead of Gadjevich? I don't know. I mean, because Gadjevich he misses games, right? Let's see. Like last year, he played. Let's see. Come on, laptop. Wake up. Wake up. Let's go. Boy, it's moving slow. Last year, he played. That can't be right. Oh, yeah. He only played 42 games last year. And then, of course, he was a big part of the playoffs, right? In the playoffs, he played 16 games. So I would suspect that you'll see him, you'll see Gregor. Gadjevich has played in all of his seasons, going back to San Jose, 43, 35, 39, 42. And then he's played the first 10 with us. So I would suspect you'll see Gregor in at some point for Gadjevich. And which is fine. You want those guys to be fresh. You want them to be able to go out there and bust their ass and know that, okay, team has depth, and then they can get some games off. So, I mean, Gadjevich wasn't skating today, so for all we know, we're going to make that switch now for a few games. But we did extend him, right? So, do I think Cunnin officially lost his job? I think if Schwint continues to play well in the fourth line, looks like that. I think so. How did Schwint do in the face-off circle? I know it was just one game, but 18%. It's just one game. It's just one game. His shot percentage is also 100%. So it's funny to look at his stats in one game. His shot percentage is 100%, but his face-off percentage was 18.2. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that face-off percentage goes. Vincent says, "Well, that's not about the Panthers. We're kind of afloat, but everybody who wanted to get bigger, heavier, mature this summer missed their mark. Seems like there's more than one way to build a team. Canadians have done it the right way, though. And Dobish, I guess Dobish might end up being, we kept saying they need a goalie, but if he continues to play the way he has, he's looked good. Craig, expect the Ducks to be feisty in several fights. You think Hugh wants some payback, huh? I don't know. Now, I thought it was public knowledge, so maybe I thought it was public knowledge that Zito and was it Zito and Caldwell sat in on the meeting with Q and Bettman and tried to get him not suspended. So I don't really know if, at least that's the public, and that's what we were told publicly, right? I thought Zito and Caldwell had his back, but Bettman said, no go. Hungry says Reeves has more goals than McJesus. Scientist, yeah, he was kicked off the dot a few times for sure. One wild crazy guy says, I think we're doing rather well for missing our best players. The wins, we've looked pretty good. There was those 3 or 4 games on the road where we just looked like awful. But even in the loss to Pittsburgh, offensively, we looked more like ourselves. It just was 5 goals on 17 shots. How often is that going to happen? Hungry says, is it too early to start gloating about calling Stolar's regression this year, or should I give it a couple more weeks? So how bad is it? How bad is it? I would, how bad is it? 3-3-1 and 8-5, 8-8-5. I would give that a little bit. Let's look at these game logs. So he's not just having a bad save percentage, but the Leafs are giving up a lot of shots. only once has he faced. There's only one game he faced fewer than 20 shots, and he's faced more than 30 shots 4 times, and the other 2 games were 28 and 29. So it sounds to me like the Leafs defense, if I go back to last year, what was his game logs like last year? Let me see early on in the season last year. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, that's about normal for Toronto. That's about they do allow a lot more shots than the Panthers. We're used to seeing Bubba only have like 18, 22 shots against. But I mean, Stolar's had some games last year where he wasn't great. Just once you averaged it all out, I mean, he pitched shutouts in 3 of his last 4 games going into the playoffs last year. So that helped those numbers. He really got better as the season went on. I would give it a few games. Frost says, do I think we would have made the Chucky trade with Q? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But who knows how those playoffs would have gone with Brunette, without Brunette and having Q. I mean, just everything could have been different. You know what I mean? Yeah, give it until after we beat the Leafs, right? One occasion guy says it's a shorter list of teams Reeves hasn't played on. So, hey, Real, Gudis is showing his day-to-day in the morning puck. Ah, dang it. Oh, scientist says Brad Marchand is out due to a death in the family. Oh, dang. Dang, he will not play tomorrow? Damn. Well, that sucks. So he won't play tomorrow. So who draws in? Are they going to move Greer up and put Gregor on the 4th line? Or who do we have? I forget who we've had up. Do we have anybody that's up? Hey, David, how you doing? So Gregor plays tomorrow. There you go. So then I would assume that Greer would move up, right? Or are they just going to leave that 4th line alone and Gregor will move up? Dang, no Marchand tomorrow. Boy, that's going to be interesting. So that's probably going to break everything up, and they'll probably go Lundell, Luosterainen, and Reinhart, I would suspect. David says Leafs like an up and down offensive style so they don't get exposed as pansies in the physical game. Bornfoot on the 2nd line with E2 and Lundell. Where's Mark Pesic when you need him? Right? Yeah. We'll see. That's a shame. We finally had, I mean, obviously he has the right to take this time off. As we finally started to look right because the lines were as they should be. So I guess you could leave everything as it is, but then what are you going to do? Put Gregor in Marchand's spot? I don't know that that's really. But sometimes Maurice will do that, right? He'll just replace the one guy instead of changing all the other lines. So I crack a joke, but I guess it's possible. Do I even own a Mark Pesic jersey? I do not. Vincent. But I have a Uyghur jersey, so that counts. I got Uyghur and Trocheck. That's what I got. Still though, Pesic was one of my missed opportunities to hang the hat off of the camera. I still can't believe the only time I've done that is for Nick McKinnon in a Colorado playoff game all those years ago. No, it doesn't count, Vincent. Vincent, I'll send you my address. You can send me a Pesic jersey. All right. Greg says Gregor is okay, but a closer Marchand fill-in would be in Studnicka, right? And there you go, scientists. Gadjevich out due to upper body injury. So if that means Gregor's going to play for Gadjevich. So then who's going to play for Marchand? Who's left? Who's left? Who have we up? Who have we up? Who have we already had up that has been getting scratched? They're going to have to bring somebody up because we don't have any forwards that have been sitting. We got 14, but Nosek doesn't count because he's out. So if you put Gregor in for Gadjevich, you still need somebody in for, unless we're going to go 11-7. Maybe we're going to go 11-7. Yeah. Maybe Belinskas can play forward. What about Ekblad? Sabranga would be the third pairing. Right, Real? Yeah, it's falling apart. Vincent says, Pesek is still a legend in Panthers land. All Uyghur ever was a weatherman. Maybe we'll just go 11-7, eh? Ghost Slayer says, as an honorary friend of the team, Jaws needs to get himself a Sharks jersey. We like the Sharks here in this channel. They're a team that understands the trials and tribulations like the Cats. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to oh, that's right, Vincent. Cunnin. You're right. Yeah. I forgot about Cunnin. So where are we going to put Schwint? Boy, Maurice has got his hands full now. Doesn't that suck? That just tells you how this year is going to go. Gadget was out for about a week. I mean, I love the dude, but he's always hurt. I don't want to get rid of him, but he always gets hurt. And so, yeah, there you go. We finally look like ourselves because we were able to keep the lines together. And now you're going to put Cunnin in, and maybe you just put Lundell, Lusterine, and Schwint. I mean, yeah, Cunnin and Gregor in, Marchand and Gadjevich out. So you just put Gregor in Marchand's spot? Very interesting. Because you got to put him somewhere. I would rather just replace. I would just put Schwinn up there with Lundell, Lusterinen and see what happens. It's just for one game, and that way you keep the rest of the lines the same. So, Fossey, you think you would put Cunnin in the Marchand spot? I want to see Schwint. I want to see Schwint up there. Why not? Jameson says, in the words of the late Jason Botchford, you need an army. As soon as we looked right, as soon as we looked right, is unbelievable. I mean, at least we have the depth, right? At least we have the depth. So did he have a fight? I mean, I never seen a guy get hurt so much. Real says, how about this? Put Greer in Marchand's spot. He's got like the third most goals on the team so far. Well, that might actually not be a bad idea, Real. Might not be a bad idea. And then have the fourth line be Cunnin with Schwint and Gregor. That might actually be the way he does it. He did move Greer into the third line a couple times last year when we needed guys. So maybe that's the way we'll go. I mean, all these guys can play. You know what I mean? Like a guy like Greer, he's not going to be a top line guy every night, but you could throw him out there and he's not going to hurt you defensively or anything like that. That's right, Vincent. Yeah, Gadjevich was clocked and he got that elbow. Yeah, the one that he got called the penalty on because he retaliated. That's right. He got that kind of like that shoulder forearm thing to the head. You're right. So, I mean, he's had the concussion thing. Kind of seems like he gets he gets dinged like that quite often. So, but he was on the ice when we lifted the cup. At least was he on both games? I know he was on last year. So we'll be okay. And hopefully Marchand, I'm sure he'll just miss a game. If he's missing a game for a death in the family, that's going to be somebody close. I hope it wasn't one of his parents or something. Has anybody said? Do we know? Do we know? Is his grandparents still alive? What's he, 37? I guess his grandparents could still be alive. So he's had an emotional week, right? All right. Well, he could use a couple days off. 2-time Stanley Cup champion Gadjevich. Ain't that the truth, right? Rather have him than Corey Perry. All right, so it'll get interesting tomorrow. Said a death in his family circle, but no specifics. Okay. I suspect we would know soon enough. Hopefully it's not. It's bad either way, but hopefully it wasn't one of his parents. He's kind of starting to get to that age, depending on when his parents, when they had him. Yeah, Marchand and Monty both had very emotional weeks. Well, and then the thing about it is, the good part is that it's a light week. We only have tomorrow, and then we have Saturday. So now, in terms of content, we're going to be doing the Tuesday game. Thursday will be over on the Dolphins channel because the Dolphins play Thursday night. Panthers don't play, so that at least there's no conflict there. And then Friday night, we're going to do a Halloween live stream. Colin and I are going to do a Halloween live stream on Friday night since it's Halloween and we didn't already have a game on Thursday. So we're gonna stay busy. We're gonna stay busy. So just come on over to the football channel on Thursday night, and we'll pretend we're watching the Panther game. Maybe I should just put it on the hockey channel too. I'll just put it on the hockey and the football channel. Get everybody good and confused. Confusion is good for engagement. What are you doing here, Jaws? Why we got football on the hockey channel? Get everybody good and confused. Yeah, I think we'll do that. Spy says we can't afford to lose many games. We just got to tread water-ish, right? It won't be long. We're closing in on November. I wonder how many weeks Chucky's going to have to be on the ice before he's ready. I would assume at least a month, right? Oh, my feed froze up for a second there. I would assume that Chucky would need to be on the ice for at least a month to get himself into shape. So it shouldn't be long before we hear that he's, skating with the team and at practice. Not obviously, in a contact jersey or anything like that. But if they were talking mid-December as a possibility, you would think he'd have to be skating for a month or maybe even close to 2 months to be ready to be out there playing games. So I wonder how long it'll be before we start getting the timeline of when we'll start seeing him out there a little bit. And that'll be good. That'll be good for the team and give him a little bit of a boost to see Chucky out there and getting closer and working hard to be back out there. I still can't believe that how he played in the playoffs with that injury. So that'll help. And then if Barkov's going to come back, I would suspect that sometime in March, you would start seeing him the same way, back out there just skating. Vincent says he looked quite skinny in training camp. He must get into shape for sure. He was a little bit thicker before. He needs to be a little bit thicker. he should be able to work his upper body, though, right? But maybe that's not his thing. Maybe that's not his thing. He's probably also making sure he watches his diet, you know. Craig says Chucky might even be skating now, but just minor stuff. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. But I'm waiting to see when we get him back out there, you know, and we can see him on the ice at practice and whatnot. Do they still have the practices open to the public at all during the regular season, or is that only in the preseason? Do they ever do anything, or is it just open to the media? Oh, boy, my back. Finally getting back to the gym today. My back has just been popping all over the place. So, and then that's how we'll know. I would suppose that's how we'll know with Barkov if and when we see him back out there at practice, you know, just skating, not talking practice, but you know what I mean. What are the games we got tonight? Let's see. So tonight, just the two games, Blues and Penguins and Bruins and Senators. So if the Bruins win, this is how whack it is. If the Bruins win tonight, they will leapfrog everybody and they'll be in third place in the playoff position. Now, technically not, because we beat Boston. So we would technically be still in third place because also we'd have a game in hand. But they can go from last place to third place tonight with a win. Ottawa, if they win, that's Bruins Senators, right? If the Senators win, they leapfrog everybody and they're in third place. And I have a feeling it's going to be like this all year long. You know? Hey, thank you, Zach. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Zach. Much, much, much appreciated. Thank you, bud. He says Barkov going to come in. Barkov is going to come back as a wrecking ball, already built like a truck, and will definitely work upper body to his max to come back as a freight train. So I'm not so sure, Zach, and I'll tell you why I'm not so sure. A couple of years ago, I believe it was Maurice's first season, Barkov came to camp and he was visibly jacked. He looked like he had put on 5-10 pounds of muscle, even on his big frame. He was jacked up. And for the first few weeks of the season, he did not look like himself. His shot didn't look right. He wasn't playing the way that we would normally see him. He got sick and he missed a few games. Might have been a couple of weeks almost he missed. And when he came back, he had lost a lot of the weight that he had gained, but he was back to being normal Barkov and looking like himself again. So, you know, and we talked about it at that time where sometimes athletes, especially if they get too big, if they work their muscles a little bit too big, their ergonomics and their flexibility gets a little bit thrown off. So I'm not so sure that Barkov will do that again, because it was pretty noticeable that when he lost his weight, he finally looked like himself again. Vincent says, if Petrie wins Bobrovsky's shutout wine, it's rigged. The man is a walking wine barrel. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Yeah, the Sens have actually played a little bit. They've played okay without Brady. What are they in their last 10? I mean, everybody's 500. Good grief. In the last 10, the Panthers are 5-5. The Sabres are 4-4-1. The Senators are 4-4-1. The Leafs are 4-4-1. I mean, it is just 500 city there in the Atlantic. Hungry says, I had this thought yesterday. Is Bettman currently the best active commissioner by default? Every other commissioner seems to be actively destroying their league except Bettman. If they could ever figure out how to make it easier for people to see the games instead of more difficult, I would agree with you. It's now that we've kind of gotten used to it a little bit, it's not as bad. But between the blackouts and the several different streaming services and the information that's out there. So, like, you've seen it a couple of times where you check what are the streaming options for tonight, and it won't tell you the exact right things. They don't even have the right information out there right a lot of the times. But that would be my only complaint. Like the fact that they got the CBA done early, good. The fact that they implemented it a year early, not good. Greg says Barkey will be leaning in super cardio shape. Zach, you're right. I forgot that part, didn't I? Thank you for reminding me, Zach. I knew there was something I was forgetting. I knew it when I replied to the email that there was something I was forgetting. Oh, appreciate you, man. Hey, Kenneth, how you doing, bud? I know, right? Jaws Fantasy Dolphins benched. Tua sick, Keto wins. Yep. I benched. I waited all season long with Malik and Ollie Gordon, and I benched them, and then they both had touchdowns yesterday. I left the game on the bench. I tried to get fancy, and I left my game on the bench because I thought the Jets sucked so bad, so I went and picked up the Bengals defense, and then I left the Broncos defense on the bench, and I lost my game because of the difference between Love and Prescott, Malik, Ollie, and that defense. I blew it. Hungry says that's a lot better than Dracula and his gambling scandal and Manfred and his looming lockout. And well, Goodell is Goodell. Yeah, I agree, Hungry, right? Jaws, Real says, Jaws, bench all your Dolphins so we can win the Super Bowl already. I waited the whole year for Malik. The whole damn year I waited for him. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done waiting. The Dolphins look so horrible. I'm like, because I already got Waddle. So I'm like, I can't just keep continuing to depend on Malik. I thought he'd have, 5 targets a game, 5 and 45 and an occasional touchdown. But he's been terrible. And then yesterday, yeah. So that's fine. That's fine. I don't know if I want to leave him benched, though. I don't know if I want to leave him benched. So it'll be okay. I'm still 5-3 in that league. I didn't see how my picks did. Like I said, the week before I did 13-2. We'll see. For my season, I'm pretty good. I have to figure out what the money would have been. Like, would I have made money if I would have just bet my picks straight? Can you? Well, you can do that, right? Can you bet straight without points and all of that? Can you just fill out? I haven't done it on these online sites. Can you just pick the winners irrespective of points, or do you have to? Is it always going to be including, plus 2.5, plus 7, etc.? Bill says Reinhardt is the most underrated player in the league. Hard to find better wingers. And when he's playing at the top of his game, I'll agree with you. You don't really get the hype for him. He's just consistent, And the dude won the Stanley Cup, had a Stanley Cup game-winning goal in the first year, and then in the next year he gets 4 goals in the Stanley Cup clinching game. For his next trick, right? I'm like, what's he gonna do next? Kenneth says, yeah, just do the money line. Okay. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's why I'm asking. Because for me, that would make more sense to just take my picks and be like, I'm just picking those teams straight. Yeah, Hungry says, Bennett better wake up tomorrow. We could use him scoring. There's no doubt there. He'll wake up at some point. Greg says, the Dolphins are now in Panthers mode, having to win everything to play themselves into the playoffs. I mean, this team has done it twice. The Dolphins have done it twice where they were weren't they 1-8 and finished? I mean, were they 1-8 or were they 1-7? I think they were 1-7 they've had these ridiculous streaky runs before. So who knows at this point? Maybe it's rigged. Maybe it's rigged. Maybe they rigged the Dolphins to start 1-6 and then waited for somebody to place like a huge bet, right? That they were going to make the playoffs at 1-6 with huge odds. But then that would be, well, no, that would be backwards. That would be backwards because that would cost Vegas money. I don't know. That's why I don't touch that stuff. Plus, as soon as I start betting money on it, my picks will become crap. Hungry says, yeah, I remember them some years ago going from like 5-5 and 10-5. Yeah, they were 1-7 in Florida's final year. They won a bunch of them, and missed by a game. Yeah, and now we can't even lose properly. So somebody must have won some money yesterday on that game, right? Somebody must have won some money. Certainly if you were betting anything Tua. Bill says, this is a great time to three-peat because most teams in the East are not great. Now, that's a good point. We're so worried about, how the team has looked, how the Panthers have looked. When you look around, it's like the road to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, the Hurricanes are still there. They've got the experience. Why are the Penguins good? Did they make moves over the offseason, or is this just a good start? Well, I know that the goaltending has been exceptional, but I didn't see anybody talking about the Penguins possibly, they're in second place. They lost the other game, but they're playing themselves into a playoff spot. It's wild to see. Hunky says, even the Jets crapped their tank last night, right? Hey, Patel says, the Rangers a disaster since they lost to San Jose and got smoked by Calgary. I think that qualifies. That's bad. That's bad, man. IDK says, what do you mean Montrealers are kryptonite? The Penguins got a new coach. Right. Yeah, Sullivan is bad. So IDK saying Montrealers are kryptonite. That's why we got to finish in third place. We got to finish in third. Because Montreal, whoever, Panthers, whoever, and then let whoever lose to Montreal. We're gonna have to go through Montreal. I suspect they're going to be ready to win a round. They almost, they looked pretty decent last year against Washington. So I don't disagree with you about Montreal, but if we end up in the second round against Montreal, that really will be a test of experience versus youth. It really will be, and if there's one thing, especially in hockey, that tends to happen is that there's a second jump that's even more difficult to make. It's one thing to make the jump from a non-playoff team to a consistent playoff team. I think Montreal has done that. But then the next jump is being a team that can consistently make the playoffs and then consistently get deep into the playoffs. And sometimes it takes teams a few cycles to be able to do that. And so if we did meet Montreal in the second round, at that point, we're assuming that the Panthers have been playing well, right? Because we're in the second round, but that's just assumed. If Barkov is back and he's even 85% of himself, I know they beat us every time we played last year, and God, I can't ever get these straight. I know they beat us every time they played last year, and I know how we looked in some of those games, but it was regular season, and we've seen the Panthers before, time and time again, in the regular season, just have those games where they say, like that. We're not going to do that in the playoffs. So while it's not a guarantee we're going to win, I don't think the disparity would look as bad as it did last year. I think it'd make for a hell of a series. And like I said, it would be experience versus youth for sure. AJC says, I want no part of Montreal, even at full strength. That said, the experience will be the factor. Kenneth says, Detroit, Montreal, New Jersey, youth train playoff run. Yeah, I mean, eventually one of these teams is going to get us, right? I mean, unless we three-peat and then we just like the wheels fall off and we don't even make the playoffs then the following year. You know what I mean? Like that possibility also exists where we three-peat and then we come in next year and they just like lay down on the ice and just be like, we don't care. That possibility exists. I take it, to be honest with you. Give me the three-peat, and the next year they can win 10 games for all we care. Get a high draft pick. Everybody rest. You know what I mean? The whole team on LTIR. But if the Barkov thing is the key. Tkachuk is going to only play maybe a half a season, maybe not even that. So he should be in good shape, right? And so Barkov coming back, when is he actually ready? You know, and he can't play in the regular season because we'd have to trade guys. We've gone into that. So even if he's ready, he's not coming back into the playoffs. So when we see him skating, what percentage is he in the playoffs? I think that's going to determine a lot. Craig says, Cats now can go into any team's barn and silence it if they get off. They get off on it. Fosh says, well, I'd rather play the Canes or Habs in the first round if we get the last wild card. Oh. I would rather play anybody but Montreal in the first round. I think I would rather play anybody but Montreal in the first round. That's how I put it. To me, I feel third place is important because I think Montreal is going to win the division. JC says, if Barkov and we don't do something about Cooley's replacement, we won't win. Well, Cooley's going to be back, though. Kulikov will be back. Bill says, I did watch all the Montreal playoff games last year, and they are not a good playoff team. I don't know. We streamed the games, and I thought they skated. Washington really hard. I thought they played well. JC, yeah, Marchand had a death in the family, and Gadjevich has an upper body injury. Do we have a first-round pick for next year? Let me see. Where are our picks? Kyle, you gonna be ready?
Yeah, I'm getting my teeth brushed and stuff right now.
Okay. Let's see. We do not have a first-round pick until 2028. We have 2 2s this year, and then a 4, 5, and a 6. And then next year we have a 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 6s, and a 7. And then 2028 is the first time where we have a first-round pick. So there's the answer to that question. Yeah, risky. I agree with what you're saying there, bud. Yeah, exactly, Real. We'd rather lose to Carolina. Bill says, Josh, remember how bad the Capitals were against Carolina? Well, that's actually, to me, Bill, that's what I used as the evidence. What I thought was that Montreal skated Washington to death, and that's why they looked so bad against Carolina. I kind of feel like Montreal exhausted them because even in the games where Washington was winning, Montreal was just all over them, just like constantly attacking the puck carrier. And Washington was a more experienced team and knew how to win. But in terms of energy expenditure, that's more my concern, even if we were to beat Montreal, was was the energy expenditure, and that's why I thought Washington looked that way against Carolina. Silva says Montreal's looking good. I wonder how long it'll be before they get enough experience to properly utilize their talents. Well, they'll get close. We'll see how Dobish does, right? Because he's a young goalie, so that takes a hot minute. Let me see. What is he? 24? No, that's not what I want. Jakub Dobish. It's a good name. 24. 6'4", 215. He's got a 1.77 and a 9.40 right now. I mean, he is playing well. And last year he was good too with a 2.74 and a 9.09. Now when you look at the game logs, he's facing shots too. He really is. He's got one game where he faced 19 shots, and then, which is interesting because that was his worst game, 895. But the other games he's faced 31, 31, 32, and 37 shots. And the most he's allowed is 3 goals. He's really playing well. So whether or not he's going to be ready to be, your full-time playoff victory playoff goalie, that's another thing. He's never played in the playoffs before, right? So first time goalie in the playoffs could be the kryptonite for them for a year. Appreciate that, Bill. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought last year. Because the Capitals, they looked wiped out. So Kenneth says 895 is his worst game, is outstanding. Yeah, I remember last year when I was talking about they need a goalie, a couple people were telling me that they thought Dobish was going to be the future. So, I mean, they're going to get there. They're going to get there. It's just a matter of when. When I look at it, wouldn't that be something if after losing to Florida 3 times straight, then Florida cranks and then Edmonton can't beat Montreal and McDavid still can't get a cup? You know what I mean? Hungry, yeah. So we can't suck at least until 2028. Yeah, we'll be okay. We'll be all right. What was the other thing I wanted to look at? Oh, it was over in the West. The Mammoth. So I think somebody up above earlier had said you thought the Mammoth were real. I mean, they're scoring. Forget it. They're scoring 3.7 goals a game and allowing 2.4. I mean, that's just wild. And yeah, and they beat. I mean, they're just. I mean, Mammoth 7, Blues 4. Who's in net? Is that Vanacek? Is he the backup? So Vanacek has started 2 games. He's got a 2.0 and a 9.13. And who's Utah's other goalie? There's Nate Schmidt. Oh, Vejmelka? And Vejmelka's got a 2.43 and a 9.05. Is that sustainable? Yeah, for Vejmelka, it might be. Last year he had a 2.58 and a 9.04. So that's interesting. Last year Vejmelka was good. 26, 22, and 8, the 258 and a 904, and he's pretty much on point with that again right now. And Vanacek has been really good in relief, so their defense must really be. How many shots are they allowing? Yeah, they're not allowing a ton of shots, but that's good. 20, 21, 20, 23. A couple times they've been over 30, but the defense is playing well. As Frost said, we said the same thing about the Leafs too when they were young. Kenneth says Montreal versus Edmonton can't have an all-Canadian final. But yeah, you're right, Sir Foss. You figured we said the same thing. That's true. But I think Montreal, I think the Habs have kind of shown they have a little bit of dog in them. I've never really seen that coming out of Toronto too much. Bill thinks Columbus is the dark horse. I don't think I picked them in my season preview. Oh, let me get back to the standings here. Where are they right now? I mean, they're 4-4. They're right there in the pack. They could pull it off. Anybody right now could pull it off. They got so close last year. Boy, they beat the crap out of. Well, they lost to the Cavs 5-1, and then they beat the Penguins yesterday or Saturday in the shootout. Merzlikins. And then who else? Elvis Merzlikins. It's got such a good name. Yeah, you, Kyle, you ready?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Jackets got a decent team. I mean, they got so close last year, right? They definitely got close last year. It's going to be a dogfight all the way around. There's not really the teams that we've kind of been used to being terrible. They've gotten better. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I says, why is everyone so logjam? I answered that question without knowing it was there. I just think that the teams that were used to not being all that good, the Senators and Canadians the last couple of years have gotten better. The Wings have gotten better. The Sabres are obviously improved, right? The Penguins are playing better than people thought. Even the Flyers are not like a give me of a bad game. The Mammoth have clearly improved. The Blackhawks are, at least mid now. The Ducks are at least mid now. The Kraken look improved. And the teams that are in bad shape are kind of, other than the Sharks, I mean, I don't think anybody expected the Flames to be the worst team in the league at this point, And, I mean, the Bruins and Rangers in last place. I guess some people might. I know that the Bruins and Rangers, there was a little bit of hope that they could, make some noise, get back in the playoffs. The Rangers are still a surprise. That you would think with the names they have on that roster and the goaltending that they'd be a little bit better. But they just cannot get it together. And I guess the guys are saying, with Sully at coach there, I mean, the team just looks awful. You look at some of the scores, and it's just inconsistency all over the place. Wow. So, all right, everybody, I got to roll. Kyle and I got a bunch of stuff we got to go do out of the house. We're going to go get the pumpkins for the live stream and all of that good stuff. We'll be here tomorrow doing our normal thing. I have some interesting new projects I'm undertaking that you guys will know about by the end of this week. So we got some new things coming on board, not just on this channel. So that's it. Thank you all for hanging out. Appreciate y'all. Everybody enjoy your night off. and don't do anything that I would. That's the smartest advice I can give you is don't do anything that I would do.